Papa Lord, hey ana, hey. Papa Lord, hey ana, hey. Papa Lord, chikawak, tlawi xiao siwak. Papa Lord, chikawak, tlawi xiao siwak. Mariposa, hey ana, hey.
Greetings. We will now perform African-centered libations, where we will give thanks and honor to our ancestors and those who walked the earth before us. Here, I have water, which represents continuity between our realm and the next. In the pot, I have soil and a plant, which represents life. I will pour water into the soil to represent our divine connection. Let us consider the great Mother Sky and all of her celestial beings, the sun, the clouds, the wind. Let us breathe in deeply right now. Let us exhale. Let us breathe in love. Let us exhale all of those things that no longer serve our being. Let us consider the divine, all of the beautiful energies and forces that woke us up this morning so that we could be here in this moment right now together. On behalf of the great Mother Sky and all of her wonder and power, let us together say, Ashe.
Ashe.
Let us consider the beautiful celestial midnight sky and all of her wonder, the moon, the stars, the wind. Let us give thanks for all of the divine evening energies that help us to rest after a long day, to slumber, nestled in our beds each and every night. Let us give thanks for the power of peace that comes with the midnight sky. Together, on behalf of Mother Moon and all of her lunar frequencies and beauty, let us together say Ashe.
Ashe.
Let us turn our hearts and minds right now to our ancestors. Let us consider our maternal bloodlines, our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts, all the women of our communities who taught us what it means to be strong in our community. Let us give thanks for all of those who raised us, who helped us to be the beings that we are in the earth right now. On behalf of our feminine bloodlines, let us together say, Ashe.
Ashe.
Let us consider the men of our bloodlines, our fathers, our uncles, our brothers, all of the men of the community to help build our communities and remind us what it means to be strong within the community. On behalf of all of our men who need us right now, on behalf of all of our paternal predecessors, let us give heart and mind to them right now as we together say, Ashe.
Ashe.
Let us consider all of the creative geniuses, the artists, the griots, the writers, the dancers, the singers, the thought changers, the creators, all of those who created the things that we now utilize in our lives today. Let us give thanks for their legacies, for the hard work and toil. Let us give thanks for those who left this earth working so that we could in turn work. On behalf of all of the greats who we may have never met face to face, but somehow their gifts in the earth, their work, their heart inspired who we are today. On behalf of all of the greats who have ever walked this earth on our behalf, let us together say Ashe.
Ashe.
Lastly, let us consider the unborn, those who have yet to cross over into this realm called Earth. A long path before them, one that many of us have walked and continue to walk, and we have much wisdom and guidance to share. On behalf of the unborn, let us turn our hearts and minds right now, giving love and energy into their journeys as they cross over into this realm. On behalf of those who will be our future leaders, the unborn, let us together say, Ashe.
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 I would also like to acknowledge my Purepecha ancestors, my Purepecha grandparents and great-grandparents, and all indigenous people of the Americas. In particular, the people from the Chicago area who were lived in harmony with the land, the water, the fire, and the sky. And want to acknowledge them and ask for their blessings as they've been here and are the rightful stewards of this land. And would like to recognize the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi, who have been stewards of this land and who came to Chicago many, many generations ago and still have tens of thousands of Native Americans in these lands that have rightful claim to this land. And for them, we want to make sure that not only we honor them, but we make a commitment to defend their land and for us to be in harmony with their land. Omoteo. Welcome to this year's National Day of Racial Healing. My name is Jose Rico.
And I am Pilar Audain.
And we are so glad that you could join us today on such an incredible day for us to be able to gather, to reflect, to reconnect with each other, and what has been an incredible couple of years for us and everybody around the world. You know, over the last year, we've been connecting people in a variety of different forms. We've had around 15,000 individuals connect in racial healing circles in Zoom rooms. We've had solidarity circles in communities and parks and street corners this year. And we are about to launch our first ever organizational transformation cohorts. And so we've had a really productive year, but we could not have done it without you, the countless racial healing practitioners that are part of Truth Racial Healing and Transformation. And see, this is the day in which we pause, reflect, celebrate, but also imagine what our life could be moving forward.
Today we have a very impactful program that we're excited to share with you, where we will hear from some amazing women doing some amazing work in the world. First, Dr. Gail Christopher, our original architect of Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. Next, I'm so excited to debut the voices of South and West Side Chicago. In a 6-minute video, we will hear from our people who want to share a word about what healing in our hoods means to them.
And as Pilar mentioned, Candace is going to be able to debut what her plan is to continuing the healing work here in the city of Chicago. And she's going to announce some amazing opportunities of how you can be involved in spreading healing in our city, because we need a lot of healing with the trauma that we've all experienced. So stay tuned for that. And then we're going to wrap it up by announcing our inaugural cohort of Truth, Healing, and Equity Fellows. These are organizations that have made a commitment to really look at the policies and practices of their organization, how it's impacting people of color within the organizations, and how they could transform themselves, not only for them to imagine how they could work differently, but how they could impact the world in a way that imagines a world without racism. So we're really excited to make that announcement. And as always, different ways in which you could get involved and join us in this effort.
Yes, stay tuned.
Thank you, Jose and Pilar, for your leadership of the Chicago Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation work. I'm Gail Christopher, and I am so happy to have this time with you to share my thoughts and hopefully to inspire you to engage others in this vital work. Every year, for this will be our 6th year, we have launched a national day to stop, to focus, to reflect, and to prioritize truth, racial healing, and transformation. It's amazing how the movement has grown from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are standing up for the truth that we are an interconnected and interdependent, equal human family, and that the lie of racial hierarchy has no place in the 21st century. It has no place in Chicago. It has no place in America. I would go so far as to say it has no place in the world. And so this is our day to set aside to really do the work of learning how to see ourselves in the face of the other, of learning how to connect at a very deep level with our core humanity and the core humanity of others, but for a purpose. And that purpose is to work together to bring about the policy and the practice and the organizational and the institutional changes that are required for us to grow up as a country. I'm excited to have been invited by the leaders of the Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation work in my hometown of Chicago. Now, I call it my hometown, although I actually was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, but I spent more than 25 years in Chicago, so it's home to me. Now, I am so very proud of the leadership and the accomplishments of the Chicago Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation effort. They have trained over 400 people during the pandemic to be racial healing practitioners, 200 of whom are young people. They have partnered and provided technical assistance to the Illinois Department of Human Services and the Chicago Office of Racial Equity as they implemented the first of its kind governmentally sponsored grant program for racial healing. They're about to launch their first institutional transformation program using the TRHT framework. They're working and partnering with 5 nonprofit organizations in Chicago. While the list of their accomplishments is really too long to list completely, but I just want to say that I am so very proud. Chicago's TRHT is a leader, and they work with over 14 other programs around the country in local jurisdictions. They work together, they support each other. There are at least 70 college campuses that have engaged in the institutes that are fostering this work and and 30 or more have set actual truth, racial healing, and transformation campus centers. You can partner with the Association of American Colleges and Universities to create these campus centers. And there's also a national effort led by Congresswoman Barbara Lee and Senator Cory Booker to call for the creation of a national truth, racial healing, and transformation commission. So there's a lot to celebrate on this 6th annual day. Let me take some time now to share with you the essence of the work, which is embodied in the framework. It's a framework that has 5 pillars, the first of which is narrative change. Now, we know that stories create, our understanding, if you will, of our basic reality. And we have a false story about America right now, one that doesn't honor the diversity of our great nation, one that doesn't acknowledge the truth of our centuries of development through slavery and the forced unpaid labor of millions. A narrative that doesn't acknowledge the decimation of indigenous tribes and communities, nor does that narrative acknowledge the racist dynamics that followed the end of slavery. So there's much to be done in terms of truth-telling, but it's also truth-telling about the resilience, the creativity, the brotherhood and sisterhood, the movements that got us to where we are today. And so narrative change is the first pillar of truth, racial healing, and transformation. And the second is actual racial healing. The work of building relationships, of healing within our communities, and healing and building bridges across communities. And some people say, well, that's fluffy, that's soft work. No, that's really the work. Because if we are going to sustain progress, if we are going to survive as a democracy, we have to have a critical mass of people who have the capacity to value one another equally and to cherish our democratic form of governance. So racial healing work is foundational. It's fundamental. The remaining 3 pillars of the framework enable us to address the legacy of structural racism, to address the consequences of all the myriad ways in which we are separated, whether it's through the cradle to prison pipeline or redlining and racial segregation, or the child welfare system that disproportionately disrupts families of color. Separation is a primary tool of maintaining racial hierarchy, and we have to overcome that legacy. We also have a legal system that was designed to produce the results that it has produced, which is injustice for communities of color. Not just criminal justice, as we've all been made so acutely aware in the last 2 years, but also the voting system and the immigration policies. There's so many aspects of our legal system that have to be transformed. And then the final pillar of the 5-part framework deals explicitly with the economic system that has been built on the fallacy of racial hierarchy. Some people have asked me, why racial healing? Why not anti-racism? Why not racial justice? And I respond by saying it's not either or, it's really both and. There are many different approaches to racial healing. The one that I put the most energy into designing, I call it RX, or prescription racial healing. Over 200 jurisdictions, as well as the leadership of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, have declared finally that racism is a public health crisis. What does that mean? That means that exposure to the vicissitudes of life that are created by racial hierarchy, as well as to the everyday discrimination, to the stress that comes from all of that, that can make us more vulnerable to illness and predispose us to premature death. And so there's a direct health link to this work. And when we learn to value each other equally and to practice that value and to project that value and to embrace each other's full humanity, we are on a healing journey. But in a democracy, we need a critical mass of people who will stand up and not be defeated when it comes to bringing about the transformation of this country into a country that honors the core humanity and the equal value of all people. I believe that's our work in this 21st century. And certainly the events of January 6th, a year ago, the insurrection, the violent and cruel attack on our nation's capital, certainly that should make us all acutely aware of the urgency of committing to telling the truth, to healing and building relationships that honor who we are as individuals and who we are as a country, as well as committing to the systemic and structural change, the policies and the practices that only we can do as the people that comprise our democracy. So thank you so much for inviting me to share these thoughts and feelings with you on this very, very special day, the 6th annual National Day of Racial Healing.
What does healing in our community mean to you?
A hood that prays together, stays together.
Nobody else is gonna help us heal. We gotta heal ourselves. So.
You know, when we have like a family business or a store or a property, not letting those things go down the drain, because that is our wealth. That's our ticket out of our situations. But
we need to talk, and we need to talk with the attitude of listening to one another. Just because you hear someone does not mean that you are actually listening to them.
But then for elders, I mean, you got to be willing, you got to be proactive. I know we're annoying. I know we always on our phone. But you have to, hey, put it down. Come talk to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
Yes.
I grew up sitting at my grandmother's feet with my brother, and it was every day. I raised my kids on peace circles because it's what I knew from growing up.
Black people being able to walk around and look each other in the eyes, have trust and respect for each other, not stealing from each other, not trying to conspire against each other, but working together to build each other up.
What healing in our community means to me is being heard. Listen to the people of the community. We're obligated to protect them.
Okay, so healing in our hoods means to me healing Black people as a whole, and ways I feel like we could do that is we could have outside gatherings like today, which is why we like peace circles that my mom does, because we're all together, we can all communicate, we could all talk, kind of vent out our problems, how we feel, all those type of things.
I retired in 2016 from 30 years of college teaching, and I know that I have learned much more from young people than I've taught them. I've learned a lot from young people today in this gathering.
Well, healing means to me is spiritual, physical, and mental well-being, stability, health, overall wellness.
Because my neighborhood is a food desert, and I live in South Shore, so a lot of the quality foods that I like they don't exist. So I have to go outside of my community to get the food delivered to me, fresh.
What does healing mean to me?
Yes. Yes.
Living, surviving is, yes, community, family.
My hood needs to be bringing us all together with love and positivity, and not just about the violence, because there's so much more in my hood than just the violence and what the news portrays to us in the rest of the world.
The thing about reparations, and I'll stop there, is it's not just about money, it's about land.
Yeah.
And we need to own land in common where you cannot sell it.
Yes, Baba.
And you can skip a meal because we eating all the time.
Yeah.
Bring them to stuff like this. The little sisters and brothers that are seeing this, they're being trained.
Well, what does healing in my hood mean to me? It means feeling safe and love and unity. And I imagine that being just a safe space full of love and, building. So,
What does healing mean in our hood to me? It means that we have to come together as black people as one, stick together as all, and fight together. We can't be divided. We got to stand strong as one.
One of my only issues with other communities coming into black communities is oftentimes they want to have a problem with the culture that exists in that area.
It means getting our kids together. It means starting from the bottom. It means being the example, being the leaders, and helping to give the children the opportunity to flourish and to build and to grow.
Healing means unity. Unity is what healing is.
We could just get resources to our parents, young parents, grandparents in some cases, that have raised children and now raising their grandchildren, it would be a better place to help save our kids.
What does healing in our hood mean to you as a black man?
Staying together. That's what it means.
Together.
That's what healing is. If it don't start with us, it don't start nowhere.
Healing in our hoods definitely means community. It actually means listening with an unprejudiced ear to what each of us needs.
I love you.
Yeah.
And I am so proud of young people right now, because y'all leading the way. Y'all doing stuff we only dreamed of. Y'all are changing the world, and quickly. This world is moving so fast, and it's because of the young people. It ain't me. It ain't none of my age. We just kind of kept doing.
Fight for restoration, healing, and recovery.
Let's say that together, y'all. Restoration, healing, recovery. Again, restoration, healing, and recovery. Restoration, healing, and recovery. Restoration, healing, and recovery.
Hi, everyone. My name is Candace Moore, and I serve as the first Chief Equity Officer for the City of Chicago. I'm so excited to be with you all today to celebrate the National Day of Racial Healing. I've served in this role for the last 2 years, leading the Office of Equity and Racial Justice. Our office seeks to advance institutional change that results in the equitable transformation of how we do business across the city of Chicago. That's from the mayor's office to city departments to our sister agencies. We embed equity into all aspects of our business, from service delivery to resource distribution to policy creation and decision-making. I love that the National Day of Racial Healing always falls in January, a time when many of us are reflecting, making resolutions, and setting intentions for the year. For both the city of Chicago and for our nation, one theme of this year is building back better. But we can't build something better if we haven't collectively reckoned with our past and present harms, articulated the lessons learned, and made a commitment to do things differently. In the fall of 2020, our office launched Together We Heal, a journey towards racial healing and transformation. As many of you will recall, that summer, our city was suffering from trauma on a number of fronts, including the disparate impact of COVID-19 on Black and Latinx communities, and the civil unrest in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. Many of us called for healing. The Office of Equity and Racial Justice responded by partnering with a variety of community groups to host healing events in community. We then together hosted a racial healing summit. Over 300 people came together that day to engage in dialogue and art and contributed to what would eventually become an equity statement of principles and the outline for a year of healing. For our equity statement, people shared that fundamental to our definition of equity should be the concepts of fairness and justice. We are proud that in the summer of 2021, we were able to finalize that equity statement of principles, which includes our official definition of equity. It reads, the City of Chicago defines equity as both an outcome and a process that results in fair and just access to opportunity and resources that provide everyone the ability to thrive. For our year of healing, we heard that people wanted cross-neighborhood dialogue and connection, public events to celebrate culture, and the city's commitment to institutional change. So this year, we are proud to bring those ideas to life and declare 2022 the year of healing. During this year, we will advance a racial healing framework with 3 core pillars: reflect on our past, reclaim our present, and reimagine our future. We will take this framework and model it in several government initiatives to drive institutional change. We will provide resources to community members to design healing events and projects in alignment with this framework. And we will release a report at the end of the year with our key learnings. I ask you to join me tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the official launch and a big announcement regarding the Year of Healing. For more details, visit chi.gov/Together We Heal. Together, we can all commit to being on a personal and a collective healing journey and build our muscle for creating a more equitable and just Chicago.
Whoa, thank you, Candace. Yes. More good in the hood.
Yeah, and it's always good when other partners, especially like the state or the city, come in and want to be able to, support communities and groups that are doing racial healing, because we've seen it works.
Yes, it definitely works. We just need the resources.
Right. And so here's a big announcement that we're making. At the same time, as we reflected the last couple of years of the work that we've been doing with community members out in the streets, we also have been working with many organizations, in organizing racial healing circles with them. And there was a call out for us to work them on some transforming some policies and practices at the organization. So we've been working really hard for about a year. And now we are ready to announce the inaugural cohorts of the Truth, Healing, and Equity Fellowship that are going to be involved in a 9-month program that allows them to really reflect on how white supremacist policies have impacted our city, their organization, and how they work. But the key to this is that then they're going to design and implement new policies and practices within their organization so they could transform those organizations to not only better serve Black, Brown, and Indigenous workers in that organization, but the community that they serve outside of that organization. So here are the 5 organizations that are going to be part of the initial fellowship. It is the Carol Robertson Center, the Gads Hill Center, Marwin, Metropolitan Family Services, and the Court Theater. Big congratulations.
Congratulations.
To those organizations that really decided to step up, who really are, taking, I think, a bold and courageous move of really looking at themselves, but also wanting to see how they could improve their organization to better serve their communities in large.
Ooh, sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
Exciting.
and we still have a lot of work to do this year too.
Ooh, a lot of work. So we want you all to get involved. We need your help because this movement is no movement without you, the movement. So hit up our website, www.transformshy.com, and just get involved. We have pages of different initiatives, projects, circles. Just come on out and visit us. And if you have any questions, you can always feel free to email us at TRHT@transformshy.com.
Great, and want to thank everybody for joining us today. Want to thank our sponsors. We have a huge list of sponsors that you will see at the conclusion of the program. And as Pilar said, hit us up on our website. There's opportunities there for you to share with others what is the commitment that you're making and how else you could get involved to transform our city. So thank you so much for joining us in this year's National Day of Racial Healing.
Yes. See you next time.